Welcome to Impact and Influence, the podcast for real estate business owners and professionals who are ready to make a bigger impact, scale, have greater sustainability, and increase their influence. This series opens the door to the sharpest minds across the industry, including agency owners, advisors, and trusted partners who share real-world insights and lessons learnt. These are short, practical conversations designed to save you time, sharpen your strategy, and help you build a business by design, not by default. If you're responsible for growth, profit, client experience, leadership, recruitment, or retention, this podcast is your go-to for smarter choices and more decisive leadership. It's proudly presented by Regrowth. We are a coaching and consulting business for the real estate arena. We help you build on capability, connection, and curiosity. Listeners, buckle up. Holly Longmuir, the little pocket rocket from the Mornington Peninsula, is joining us today. Holly is the director, licensee in charge of the Buxton Group on the Mornington Peninsula. How many offices are we at now, Hol?
5.
So, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for the gorgeous Holly Longmuir. I've had the privilege and the honour now of knowing you since we started Regrowth. We met in quite a random way, which is what happens in real estate, but it probably reinforces the importance of great relationships and that your network is your net worth. Would you mind explaining to everybody about our first meeting? Let's start there because, man, did you put me through the ringer, and then we'll talk a little bit about your career and some of the things that have had an impact on scale and recruitment for you.
I was sitting on the couch at home, deep in thought. I was actually thinking about and the word that kept coming into my head was, I'm here where I am. What's next? How do I grow? What would regrowth look like if I was here? What would regrowth? It's literally this word flying through my head. I get this random text from Scott Anderson, whose daughter is called Holly, and he says, "Hi, darling." And I wrote back, little inappropriate, Scott, but hi back. He said, "Oops, wrong one." And I said, just out of by any chance, I'm looking at a business coach. You don't happen to know Kylie Walsh, do you? I've heard great things about her. And he sends me back a screenshot. And at exactly the same time, I'm texting him by mistake, he's texting you. So we've got this little triangulation going on. So needless to say, he introduced us and we caught up at, what was the cafe? It was fabulous.
Down at Balmoral, down at on the water there, yep.
I was a bit sceptical. I tried on probably 3 or 4 different coaches who, I don't know if they sacked me or got sick of me or whatever the story was, but I maybe outgrew them. I caught up with you and you said, "I love data." And my little spider sense went off and I was like, "How much do you love data?" So I challenged you.
Sure did.
Full disclosure, I'd come out of 8 years at Box+Dice and loved data. And I left and I was sitting with my husband and I said, "She's the lady for me." And we've been together ever since.
We have. So let's talk about that because it's been a very exciting journey and I'm pumped for the next couple of years having done a little bit more work with you of late. Could you talk to everybody about your marketplace just so we can get context on that?
We are on the Mornington Peninsula. Our head office, if we call it that, which has got about 17 people in it now, is based in Flinders. We keep taking additional space because we keep growing. It's quite a affluent area. We've got country and coast, so we've got the best of both worlds. We then go across to, most people know about Portsea and Sorrento, very high end, also with a residential area, no country on that side or minimal, and we do everything in between. About a year and a half ago, I purchased a rent roll in a sales business in Mount Eliza, and that kind of created a big, actually the whole of the Mornington Peninsula and everywhere in between, and then we've opened up little satellite offices in between those 3 offices as well, just to cover the wide spread that we have here.
How did you get to that point, Hol? So what's your backstory?
I started working, so I'm 3rd generation estate agent. I started working in real estate part-time for my dad to pay for my going out in 1989. So 36 years ago. Fell in love with it. Dad taught me everything from go to woe. I was working for my brother Travis in Box+Dice 10 years ago. I was pretty fed up with all of the travel. I had a 9-month-old baby, lived down the coast or country, bit of a sliding doors moment. There was a guy selling a tiny little office down here, had 4 people in it. I ran into him at a coffee shop and said, "Sure, I'll buy it." It was a really impulsive
Was that your due diligence, Holly?
Yep, it was
No
terrible.
wonder you and Dave Gray get on so well.
Yes, we do. We are great mates. I think sometimes when your heart and your head align, it just is right. It was just right. I was ready for something new. I wanted to be closer to home. There was a whole heap of reasons it was right. I do think that I'm a little bit crazy. I challenge risk often.
I would call it courageous, having known you for a while now, and I think that's an incredible superpower.
Don't know if my mum would agree, but sure, we'll go with courageous. She thinks I'm a nut. I love my mum. So I started and bought little tiny rent roll, put myself into debt, but I figured that I was tenacious, had a fair bit of grit. I knew my market.
Yeah, the power of knowing your market is incredibly important, right? There's a lot of people out there that are going out and starting on their own right now that'll be listening to this, or they're in the infancy of their business. What can go wrong and what can go right in that first 6 to 12 months that you don't bank on?
I don't know if I've told you this, Kylie, but day one, so there's a little technical loophole here in Victoria that I didn't buy the actual business. I bought the franchise rights and the rent roll, and the authorities were signed in the business name trading as the company that I bought. Day one, I had a knock on my car window and one of the sales agents said, I'm not going to fit in here, so I'm leaving. And I said, is it all right if we do a handover so I can just get up to speed on your 13 listings? And she said, don't worry about it. I've re-signed them with the competitor 4 doors up the road. Good luck. And I went white. That was day one. So I had a Jerry Maguire moment, show me the money. And I remember sitting in my car and I had my 9-month-old baby in the back seat. I was waiting for the babysitter to arrive and I thought, well, Holly, a bit late now. That's a good lesson. Probably should have bought the company or changed the authorities before you started on day one. You've just lost 3/4 of your sales asset, which I'd budgeted on for my first 6 months. Figured if I could sell 50% of them, I'd be able to cover the wages, which wasn't a lot. But I thought, do you know what? It's not what happens to you, it's how you handle it. So I got into the office. I rang every one of those 13 listings that I've lost, and they all said, too much risk. We don't know you. We don't. Actually, Paul Armstrong, who now works with me and has worked with me for 7 years, he was telling everybody that I didn't have any real estate experience. He was pain in the ass, but I do love him now. And he was working for the competitor. So I had my back to it. And the one thing is, if you are tenacious and you have grit, if you've got your back to it, you just kind of figure out solutions. And that's what I did. So I got really busy with solutions. And I decided to look at my database. I rang every single short stay owner, and I rang every single landlord and introduced myself just to how's things called. I didn't ask for anything, not one single thing, but the goodwill that I picked up. I also created a story that my nickname was the Energizer Bunny. It wasn't. I just made it up. Everybody started calling me the Energizer Bunny.
It's funny because that's what we call you at Regrowth. So the little Energizer Bunny down there in the Mornington Peninsula, which is, I think, how I introed you today. I mean, look, there's a lot there to unpack on its own. I've only heard snippets of that story, not the whole context. And we can talk about that over a glass of water next time we see each other. But I think it's interesting because we've got Julie Briscoe and Stu Waugh talking about acquisition, divestment and things to look at when you go in. So we'll let them cover that. But it's good to understand how you got here. I really want to talk about particularly probably the last 3 or 4 years. You've had massive growth and it was growth by design. It was a very detailed strategic plan about it and milestones that you wanted to hit. How instrumental was it for you getting out of the field, because you were a high-performing sales agent, getting out of like the doing and focusing on recruitment to take the business where you wanted to go? And what did that look like? Because for some principals, they go, oh, goodness me, how do I even approach that? So how did you approach it and what did that journey look like?
I knew I didn't want to be on the tools, so to speak. I asked myself some quality questions. What does it look like? What do you need to do to get there? I'm an analyst by nature, so I love data, as you know. So I had a look at it and I thought, right, how many salespeople do I need to replace the potential income that I could earn if I am on the tools? And I was a bit audacious or a bit probably more self-indulgent around my my thoughts on how good I could be if I was really organised. And so I set myself a really high target, and then I work backwards from there to be able to say, right, if I want to earn 2 mil in GCI, how many agents will I need? What would they need to do? What would I then need to set up as far as office-generated leads to ensure that they're happy and successful? And then I brought it right back to the big foundation piece, which was, how do I get them? And how do I make sure that they're happy? Because I figured that if I get them and they like me, they want to hang out with me and I want to hang out with them, then they'll be successful. Because I thought, I was very confident that I had a really good formula for success.
So there's 3 questions there I'm going to go back to, knowing you a little while now. The first 3 years that we worked together, I wasn't allowed to talk about GCI at all. It was all about behaviours, culture, how we inducted and onboard people, the resources that they had. Talk to us about that.
I was really strong on the real estate industry as a whole, lived around the sentiment of GCI. Everyone spoke about it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was just gross. I knew that I had a life that I wanted to lead. I knew that I had private school fees, all of those things that go with life. I knew that I didn't care. And I say this carefully, I didn't care if I lost it all. So that fearlessness, again, because I was never going to have my identity attached to a dollar value, but I knew that it was going to be attached to my personal beliefs around hard work, my personal beliefs around determination. Every single person that we recruited, they would ask me what my commission splits were and all of these sorts of questions, and I would smile and I would say, they'll be good. So we actually didn't end up talking about it. And it's funny because every single person that's bar probably 2 that are with me have probably been with me since they've come on board. We've been very considered. We don't need that guerrilla style personality, yet all of our agents, probably 70% of them, are really high producing,
very high performers. So I would say, without talking about your numbers so I don't get in trouble, is 3 times what the average high-performing agent would write in, I would say, in Sydney. Is like sort of like your minimum standard there. So they are all high performers, super teams.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. And
I just know
good
humans.
Know what they're like. Good
yeah.
humans share the same values and are aligned. But I've got to say, I think your business, and feel free to debate if you like, because it wouldn't usually hold you back, is your business is underpinned on process.
Yes.
And it's been obviously culture by design and values is incredibly important. I would say equally important from observation is process. How much time have you had to spend on that? And is that a constant evolution? And what advice would you give to principals listening?
There's actually 3 Ps. The people. Got to get the right people. So we recruit on morals and values. We've got to like each other because we spend so much time together. You've got to get the right people. And we get it wrong. I think maybe I've terminated 1 person in 10 years. But the 2 other big Ps are the process and the policies. So the policies are the rules. They're kind of the non-breakable stuff.
Rules of engagement, non-negotiables.
If you break a policy, then you're not a good person. And that's a pretty simple conversation with myself or one of our leadership team of what were you thinking? Did you know that you were breaking a policy? It's quite a quick conversation. Yeah, I don't agree with the policy. Then it kind of goes full circle, because if they don't agree with the policy, because the policies are good for me, good for us, good for all, they work on a philosophical level.
Can you repeat that again? Because your feedback loop in your business is incredible.
Good for me, good for us, and good for all. So it's actually a philosophical principle. So if I make a decision that is just good for me, it's selfish. If I make a decision that's just good for you, it's martyrdom. And if it's just good for all of us, it doesn't work. It has to work together. All 3 of those points have to work together. And that's a decision-making process for me. And if I'm ever in a conversation, which I think it's only happened once, where somebody is questioning the policies, it's usually because they're not working in one individual's favour, which after about a 3 or 4 minute conversation and it's consultative, we ask a lot of questions. Why don't you agree with which part of it doesn't resonate with you? You end up with a big mirror in your face and you're like, I don't like it because it doesn't support me as an individual and I really want to be selfish right now. So it's not a long conversation. We then get them to buy into why it's important it will be good for them long term or medium term, that it's good for all, and all will then make it good for them as well. And it works in a full cycle.
Well, I think, an observation from having been lucky enough to spend a lot of time with your team over the years and yourself and Dave is the respect that you and your husband, Dave, have with your team, but the mutuality of respect, back to your people. How long has that taken to get to this point? And again, we've got astute business owners who are very entrepreneurial that still struggle with this in their leadership teams in businesses, or people that are transitioning perhaps from property manager to department head or sales agent to principal. How long does that take? And is it always something you've got to work at?
I don't think there's any straight answer to it. I think that if you're determined it's the old adage that respect is earned. You can't ask for it. If I walked into a room and said, I'm speaking, everybody needs to listen, they wouldn't respect me because it's authoritarian. I don't act like that. It's not my nature, yet I command attention because it is. I'm an extrovert and I love the limelight. Give me a mark any day, Kylie. But if I went out there and asked for it, it wouldn't work. However, in saying that, I would also give it. So I'm very clear of recognising good behaviour and very quick to pull people up on behaviour that is probably not conducive to the betterment of all. And as long as I act quickly, I've found that you've got to jump on that stuff really quickly, because if you falter, it spreads. And everybody knows it too. Everybody knows it. And they self-check. And the team does it. It's incredible.
Brand ambassadorship in your organisation is huge, of self, of team, of community. So can we just talk to that a little bit? Because I think that helps build the respect and the kindness that you've got in your business. Can we talk about some of the stuff that you do internally with the team? So from events to networking, professional development, what does that look like, and what's the sort of investment in time?
I'm constantly looking at what we refer to as TX, the old Richard Branson philosophy, which is I look after my team, the team will look after our customers. So I'm very conscious of, I pull our whole team together. There's nearly 50 of us now. I pull our whole team together every month and I make sure that that event adds value to them. So we cover off any procedural changes, which is my third P, any changes in like checklists, or not, we have checklists, but you understand the process. We get together, we celebrate the highs and the lows. We talk about data, but we don't celebrate the GCI gods, whatever they're called, gorillas, I don't even know what they're called. We celebrate most reviews. We have a most valuable team member run like the Brownlow at the end of the year. It's the most fantastic event because you're voted by the people. We also have a progress award, which is from me, and I watch everybody's progression.
I love that, progress.
We do other little things. We have, birthday cakes and all of that sort of stuff. We close early on a Wednesday after the King's birthday weekend right through until August. And it's a check-in time. It's around mental health. We want you to get outside, weather permitted, share your photos, what you're doing, how you spend that time.
What did you do a couple of weeks ago with the team? I saw some stuff on social. James Redfern was looking incredibly funny and having a great time. Orienteering or something like that were you doing?
We do events where we have secret events where we don't tell the team, and then all of a sudden we just close the office. So we make sure everybody's diaries are cleared. They think they've got a training program and we just take them out and do stuff. We did last year, I don't know what the James one was. I'd have to have a think about that. We do it often. There's probably at least 3 to 4 a quarter that we do. Some of them are spontaneous because we like to have that bit of variety in there. Last year we did a scavenger hunt. We drove from here to Melbourne and had to produce videos along the way in teams. We have mentor groups, which are people from all different offices, so you're not with the same people the whole time.
And is that just the people in your leadership team, Holly, or can anyone put their hand up? Or what's the qualifier to become a mentor, and what's the contribution and commitment?
It's a really good question. Our leadership team has been created around people that naturally demonstrate the qualities of a leader. So it's not, I did a course. It's not that I should. It's not a geographical location. It is usually people that have been, and I've watched their progression and their contribution to others. We have a big part of our DNA is, am I contributing to, and can I be contributed to contributing to the group, and are people able to contribute to me? That constant continual growth, that Kaizen theory,
yes,
the Japanese
better
theory,
is better.
constant, better is better. We have that. So I look for that in our leadership team. Our leadership team has changed over the years. Some people understand that the commitment to it is distracting. So you've got to want to do it, and you've got to love and live and breathe it.
I think also too, whole observation is, and it gets bantered around a lot, but what got us to here won't get us to there. Yeah. Your business has fundamentally changed from the Flinders shop, the corner store to, scaling and becoming, a very astute business and probably, one of the bigger businesses down your way. So that demands a different leader. And it demands a different style. And talking about leadership, and people think, God, I can't believe she's about to say this, but knowing the friendship and the professional relationship we've got, I'll beg for forgiveness later. I often say, focus on managing you and not time for leaders. Your superpower when you're organised is terrifying. Knowing what to let go of and what to hang on to. So do it, dump it, or delegate it. You've been through a lot in this space. And I can remember the first meeting I had down there, I think with your GM and head of people and culture, and I actually asked you to leave the room and you didn't handle that so well. Why was that so hard for you? And what have you put in place recently this year to help you spend more time on the things you're great at?
I'm constantly interested and curious about self-reflection. If I'm in the weeds, it's not the best for anybody. I do it. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. It's either my greatest strength or my greatest liability. And I think that me constantly striving for perfection as well, if I can be vulnerable with you, which I know that I can, Kylie, I think that need for perfection became really limiting in helping others grow because I was worried about delegating. So a lot of work. I also had a major car crash last year, which tends to change your priorities pretty quickly.
Yeah, for our listeners, Holly nearly lost her life last year and she had to learn to talk and walk and things again. So to see where you are from there, Hol, was incredible.
Good way to get out of the weeds.
You know what? It's what's that bloody Paul Keating, the recession we had to have. Sometimes in life, the greatest adversity, sometimes it doesn't look like it at the time, but gives us the greatest blessings. And so that's probably got you where you are now. So what does it look like a bit differently for you and your leadership team this year? What's the resourcing and why have you set it up that way?
I brought in 6 people, which was almost unheard of. It was the big joke with yourself and myself and those very close to me that it was a benevolent dictatorship because I believed that I had the answers for everybody. It also came from a fear of letting anybody down if I could come from the emotional side of it, which was if I take that off you, you'll feel better. I was working 80, 90 hours.
Servant leadership, you're really serving your people. If someone couldn't do it, give it to Holly, I'll finish it. And that sort of creates a behaviour. So I think just where you are at now is incredible. But you're probably a bit hard on yourself there, Hol, I think. But anyway, I'll let you continue.
I think, and Dave Gray at the Regrowth conference a couple of weeks ago, he said, let them tie up their own shoelaces. That
was great, wasn't it? I think
goodness.
We've often thought about putting that on a T-shirt.
It's changed my whole demeanour. So thanks. Don't tell him.
Well, he'll probably be listening to this, Hol. You'll hear all about it. You won't stop hearing all about it.
No, he'll be texting me.
Bless him.
But it was really powerful because all of a sudden I got to that stage. After that, I started to have a really good look at myself and think, gosh, let them.
But I think it's having the permission, right? Great leaders take people to places that they never thought possible. If you've got the respect and you've asked for the permission, then you can do that. And I think that's such an evolution for leaders, is to recognize they can't do it all. And yes, it might take longer to show somebody to hand that over or train them in it. But then if you never have to touch it again and it's not your superpower and someone can actually do it better, faster, more efficient, and allows you to spend time on scaling, spending time with your people and recruiting, which is something you're incredibly gifted with, makes sense. Now, having a good EA or having a good person that can run projects and brain explosions for you, which you have plenty, what does that look like? And what are the sort of things that you've got Katie working on that you're happy to share?
Katie is incredible. To recruit Katie, if I can steal this for a moment, I had 2 incredible applicants and one of them was really strong in tech and admin and organisation, proven track record, absolutely amazing. She was really lovely, but Katie there was something when I met Katie that I just felt really comfortable with her. We had a laugh. I felt connected.
Fun, connected, yeah.
And she was fun. And she was nervous and I was nervous. But there was a synergy between the two of us that put her above. And I've not regretted the decision for a moment. Katie has an incredible way of managing me without me feeling like I'm a failure.
Her approach and her delivery to that is incredible. And I think that's the thing, guys, and you are both very, very different, which is great, but you share the same values. And I think that's incredibly important. If anyone hasn't invested in that space and they're still trying to do it all themselves. So we all have an EA, we all have an associate or something when we're in sales, but I see so many principals that try and put it all on their general manager or their head of sales. But, you know, the stuff that is not an absolute priority right now, but will be a priority to get you to where you want to go is probably what Katie's working on for you. Would that be fair to say? So you have the idea and then she brings it to life to manage it and then works with the key stakeholders in the business.
Katie will sit, she sits just outside of my office. A lot of her day is reacting to my, you call them brain explosions. Katie, I've had a thought. Katie, I've got an idea. Katie, this, da-da-da-da-da. On a Monday, Katie will do a whip. Her and I will do a whip. These are the brain explosions you had last week. Are we still moving ahead with this? Is it one of our opening questions? And I'm like, I don't
just
even know
anchor
what I was
in.
thinking.
Yeah, because I can't remember that. Fill me in. But it is so true. So does it align back to, and look, we did a whole 2 days on business planning earlier in the year, but the importance of anchoring back to clarity on where we want to go and is it a priority is so important. I mean, we can change the business plan, we can change the priorities, but if that really is where we want to be in 9 years' time, let's stick to that plan. I'm going to finish with two things because it's going to lead into the next time we catch up on a podcast. If you could change one thing about our industry, what would that be and why?
Taking advantage of young women. That's my killer.
And I think that will lead beautifully into our next catch up. And it's not about, you know, burn the bra and men and women, and Holly and I are very passionate about this. It's just being aware to step in, step up or step out of certain conversations. And that will form the basis of our next catch up because Holly's got a great story to tell and some good learnings and just the things for us to be very mindful of, I think, as leaders moving forward. Holly, what would you say to a younger version of yourself?
You'll get there.
Give it time. And I think that's a really, really good place to end is, guys, it does take time. You know, you're a product of your environment. And I think Holly and her husband, David, are both ambassadors of that, is they've got such a good tribe. And I say it all the time, birds of a feather flock together. What is the investment in development of yourself and your business that you have made? And what advice would you give to business owners listening about probably a little bit more time in leadership and a little bit less time at sales conferences?
I spend probably around about 3 or 4 hours a week listening, reading and learning, connecting. I make sure that I'm an open book.
Is there anything good we should be aware of at the moment that you've listened to or heard that we can R&D, rip off and duplicate?
I'm listening to Diary of a CEO, and this is actually, I've listened to this twice now. It's a monk.
So other things that you've done or you're learning from or time spent in developing self?
Dave and I've got an incredible husband. We've been together 20 years. We don't do date night. We do date week. We make sure that we get out and focus on, he's very, very good at managing me because I'm a workaholic. I would work from sun up to sundown. He's figured out how to get exercise into my life. We do a board meeting walk in the morning.
Every morning
where he challenges me as we walk around the golf course. I make sure that I have time for our people. We do 360 reviews. Our team know that they can call me out on anything at any time.
So that's part of your leadership development is you saying to your team, what would you do if you were me, giving feedback?
Yep. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Start off with the nice stuff and then whack me with the hard stuff. And they do that often because I can't get better and continue to grow if I'm beyond reproach. It's silly.
Holly, you're amazing. We've got lots more chats to come. If you're down that way, please look up Holly. It's worthwhile going and seeing her offices, not only to have a great conversation, but also to have a look at what they're doing down there. Market share is incredible across the peninsula, and I think there's exciting times to come. Holly, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you in another couple of weeks and we'll have another conversation. Holly, thank you so much for your time. We are very grateful.
Thank you, Kylie, as always.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Impact and Influence. Click follow to get notified about future episodes. Leaving a review helps others find the podcast. And to learn more about our courses, our study tours, conferences, keynote topics and our services, or how simply we might be able to help support you in taking you to places you never thought possible, please visit regrowthkyliewalsh.com.